If you make a living creating content, you live for people like this, because doesn't matter how many times you tell them, they're still never going to get it. So they just keep providing you with sources of content so you can keep rolling. This person here says, he's talking to somebody else, not me, but he says, your appeal to authority fallacy holds no power here. An indirect cost is not a poll tax. Yes, it is. From the Center for Public Integrity, costs to vote considered modern poll taxes. Under a new law, thousands of Missouri voters, this is back from 2022, could have to pay $15 to acquire the documents needed to get an ID to vote. Wyoming voters also face their state's new ID law, passed this year, which requires a government or student identification card to cast a ballot. Voters without one must present certain proof of identity to obtain the state's free voter ID. A birth certificate there costs $25. Voter right advocates argue that these costs amount to a poll tax, declared unconstitutional over 50 years ago, and point to any array of factors that can make casting a ballot more costly for some voters. Voters today may not be charged a literal poll tax, the fees created in the late 1800s to keep black men from voting, but ID requirements, transportation, and lack of paid time off to vote all ultimately come with price tags. A flurry of new voting restrictions have made it even more costly, especially for voters of color. A majority of states ask for some form of identification to vote. The type of acceptable ID ranges from a driver's license to a utility bill. Some states offer alternative ways to prove one's identity, including sworn affidavits and signature matching. While many states require some form of identification to cast a ballot, they often have workarounds, such as a signed affidavit or signature matching, that still allow people to vote. Some also allow a variety of documents, such as utility bills or pay stubs. But 12 states strictly require a government-issue ID. Some also accept an ID from a tribe or a university. While those states offer free identification cards for the purposes of voting, obtaining them can be costly because the process usually requires documentation such as a birth certificate. People who are low-income, older adults, or indigenous Americans are less likely to have those papers in hand. This is more so the case with older natives, said Allison Nesswood, my apologies, a staff attorney at the Native American Rights Fund. Maybe they weren't born in a regular hospital, and so they don't have certain types of documents that are more common for other folks to have. That can definitely add to the cost, or just that one piece of voting. As of 2018, state-issued birth certificates cost as much as $34, with 22 states charging $20 or more. When ID cards are required to vote and that identification costs $20, that's a poll tax, said Scott, I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name, professor of political science at Northern Illinois University and co-author of a series of studies on the cost of voting in the United States. This comparison is not new. A decade ago, then Attorney General Eric Holder called Texas's strict voter ID requirement a poll tax, noting identification cards usually come with fees. And the article goes on and on and on and on and on. So, you're wrong. Again, I've been having this conversation with you for several days. An indirect cost is a poll tax because it is a financial barrier that is being placed between the government and the citizen before that citizen can exercise their constitutionally protected rights. Sales tax on a gun is the same thing. Let's go to guns, as a matter of fact. If I said to you, if I'm your senator, your member of Congress, and I said to you, we're going to pass a bill that says that before you can get your license to buy a gun in your state, you got to pass this $2,000 background check. Is that a financial barrier between the government and you, I should say, and your constitutionally protected rights? Of course it is. It's akin to a poll tax. It's saying that you can only use this right once you pay this money to do this thing. It's the same goddamn thing. Now, you go ahead and tell me how it's not a poll tax again, and I'll make another video, and we'll just keep this whole cycle going.